Greetings, everybody. Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. Stay a while and listen to this one. We've jumped forward, a couple hundred years, I believe. This is started off the second chapter with just talking about the various races. So we have a descendant from Grond. They broke off. There were the Colossals that are extinct, the Magnetar, Magnaral, something like that. Mini Colossals is what I believe they are, but they're they're not really talked about. Then you have the big giants, the Gron, and then you have the Ogron, which are something like in the middle between them and ogres, and then you have ogres and then orcs. So here we go with the Gorian Empire. I think I've got like some trinkets or toys or something that let you turn into a Gorian. So not sure where they fall, if this is just what we're calling the Ogron or if this is something else. All right, let's find out. In the centuries after the Apexis society collapsed, Arakoa priests and sorcerers had spread across the land, taking with them many of their race's coveted crystal shards, those Apexis crystals. Small conclaves of Skalaxi Arakoa began searching the land for more of these nuggets of knowledge and power. Some sought personal glory, some sought to preserve the wonders of their fallen people, some even believed that a new golden age might emerge if the Arakoa could collect enough of this ancient wisdom and build their society anew. The Skalaxi leader Yonzi learned that critical caches of knowledge were buried beneath the ruins of an Apexis coastal settlement in Talador, a place now occupied by Ogron. Attempts to bribe or barter with the Ogron rulers ended violently. Though far less intelligent creatures, the Ogron were quite formidable when it came to size and strength. The Arakoa retreated, biding their time. They also probably had the numbers, because the Arakoa are pretty minimal now. Yonzi and his followers observed the Ogron tribe from the sky, searching for opportunities to topple the brutes by force. One quickly presented itself: the Ogron slaves. The ogres, though not as mighty as their barbaric masters, were more intelligent. Most importantly, their enslavement made them angry. Only fear kept them from revolting. Arakoa's sorcerers began to approach the ogres in secret, offering to teach them the ways of arcane magic, which is why you have ogre mages. The slaves proved to be excellent students. They were distant descendants of Grond, a creature empowered by the titan Agrabah, and thus they were naturally attuned to the arcane. The Skalaxi were surprised and delighted by this discovery. They had never seen new spellcasting techniques be developed so effortlessly. The ogres held a special affinity for the earth, and they could use arcane power to shape and bend rock and stone to their will. One of the first ogres to master this new power was named Gog, and the Skalaxi believed he was the perfect leader to inspire a full-scale rebellion. Empowered, Gog strode forth, but not to fight the Ogron. He had a far more significant target in mind: the Gron, the giant predators whom all ogres revered and feared as deities. Even the Arakoa were stunned at his ambition, but they couldn't argue with the results. Gog single-handedly struck down a Gron, and the story of his bloody conquest spread among the captive ogres like wildfire. He killed another, and another. By the time he defeated his fifth Gron, whispers of his deeds had reached almost all ogre settlements. Gron were seen as towering monstrosities, practically gods in stature and power. They could not be killed, not by the likes of an ogre. At least that was what the slaves had once believed. Gog's heroics had shattered that belief. If Gron could be slain, what did the ogres have to fear from the Ogron? When Gog the Gron Slayer returned to his people, there was no need to spend time convincing the other slaves to revolt. They rose up together against their Ogron overlords, igniting a bloody war. There was a catastrophic loss of life on both sides. The Arakoa patiently watched from a distance, eager to claim their crystals from the Ogron settlement. That's all they care about. They're just doing a full-on war. Everyone's dying everywhere, and they just want those little Apexis crystals. In the end, nearly every Ogron tribe fell to their captives. The ogres' thirst for vengeance and their newfound arcane magics were too much to withstand. The Ogron, who were not torn limb from limb, were forced to scatter across the world to escape. After the ogres cast off the chains of slavery, the Skalaxy sorcerers quietly moved in, searching for Apexis relics and artifacts in the ruins of the city. Gog the Grond Slayer put a quick end to that. As a sorcerer himself, he had no interest in giving away any potential source of power. The ogres had paid for the land with blood. Gog declared himself Gorgog, King Gog, and proclaimed that he was the ruler of this city. He named it Goria, the throne of the king. Gog commanded Yonzi and his Skalaxy followers to leave the area on pain of death. So they just replaced one problem with another. The Arakoa did leave, but not for long. Gog's actions infuriated Yonzi and his kin, and they decided to take the land by force. In the dead of night, the Arakoa sorcerers launched a surprise attack on the fledgling city of Goria. Gog and his apprentice arcanists fought back, bolstered by the countless ranks of newly freed ogres who saw him as their savior. The king defeated the Arakoa and captured Yonzi. The Skalaxy leader's death did not come slow. The tales of Yonzi's gruesome end at Gog's hands spread across the land. Despite the promise of undiscovered Apexis crystals, further Arakoan incursions on ogre holdings were few and far between after that. So Gog has come out and just whooped butt. So this is probably going to be this new empire. Yeah, the Gorian Empire slowly expanded over generations. So now ogres rule Draenor. Though the ogres were not focused on conquest, wide swaths of land fell under their control. Roaming Gron and Ogron were hunted down wherever they were found, paving the way for new settlements. Cities sprang up throughout the world's continents. The two largest were High Maul, located in western Nagrand, and Bladespire Hold, tucked away in Frostfire Ridge. And those two places are still there. These cities became highly militant outposts that constantly expanded the Ogre Empire's borders. An advanced trade network crossing land and sea was established to link Goria with the far-flung strongholds. Now, ogres are supposedly extremely dumb, or at least that's how they're portrayed. So this is interesting. I wonder if they're just doing all of this despite that, or if something makes them dumb. Goria itself remained the capital, and actually, if you look at the ogres that are up in Ogre-La with the Apexis crystals, those ones are smart, because they're in constant contact with the Apexis crystals. So I guess maybe these guys were like that, in which case, yeah, they're just big, beefy, regular, smart people. Goria itself remained the capital and a distinguished place for apprentices to train in the arcane arts. Apexis crystals became highly prized there, the fragments of Arakoan knowledge eagerly sought by the most learned ogre sorcerers. The ogres' practice of sorcery and their exposure to raw arcane magic had some unexpected side effects. Though it was very rare, children would sometimes be born with two heads. It soon became clear that these ogres were astonishingly gifted spellcasters, and their appearance was seen as a good omen. In time, Goria's arcanists even developed spells to replicate this phenomenon, causing normal ogres to grow a second head, increasing their intelligence and aptitude for magic. Alright, so we've got the birth of ogre mages, the birth of the genesis of why the ogres have two heads, some of them, especially the ogre mages, and them rising to a power of dominance, the increasing diminishment of the Arakoa, how the ogres are the ones that get control of the Apexis crystals, and establishing a couple key geographical points, High Maul and Bladespire Hold. So a lot. This was good. This was a good advancement towards what we're working toward, which is, of course, ultimately the Orc forces and the Horde. All right, guys, another episode in Pipes 5x5. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you.